Right, hello everybody, and some more for you here from Dr. Dave on discovered attacks and jumps. 6 short games today, and our first one is Hamble against Pitt by correspondence, 1994. So let's get into it. This one's 9 moves long, and e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight takes e5. So ping, Petrov's defense. Knight to f3, knight takes e4, d4, d5. So all very mainline stuff in the Petrov. Bishop d3, bishop d6. Castle's white, castle's black. Knight b to d2, bishop to f5, and now a mistake from white in a perfectly level position. And you don't get much more level than I was going to say 0.04, but 0.00, 0.03, whatever. C4, and watch the bar. And it drops down to a slight advantage for black, perhaps -1-ish if you gave it a bit of time. So not a catastrophic blunder by any means, but a mistake from white nonetheless that will cost at least a pawn. So have a little look if you want to. Press pause, see if you can work out the right move here for black. Otherwise, we'll carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And it's this bishop looking at the unprotected white bishop. If the knight wasn't there, the bishop could take. And so if we play knight takes f2, which is attacking the queen, white will obviously have to deal with the attack on the queen. So let's say rook takes, and now bishop takes, and black has won a pawn. It's not a shatteringly big advantage. It's certainly not something that white would want to resign for. Although according to Dr. Dave's book, they did in the game, but you don't want to be -1 after 10 games, after 10 moves. So, okay, let's see if the next one is a little more dramatic. And we've got Wall. Seems to be a lot of games by this Wall person in Dr. Dave's book. Wall against Reyes, San Antonio, 1993. Okay, this one, it ends in checkmate in 10. So let's see how we get on. E4, e5, knight f3, d6. A bishop to c4, bishop to g4, knight to c3, knight to c6, d4, e takes d4. Oh, this is getting pretty sharp already. Bishop takes f7, king takes f7, knight to g5 check, and protected by the bishop. So this is quite a common trick to take on f7. So take on f7, and then with the check, you've discovered an attack on the bishop. But that's not the big discovery in this game, although it is one. King to g6 from black, queen takes g4. So this is setting up yet another discovery, because the queen could be looking at the king if the knight moves out the way. Knight to e5 from black is quite a clever move, because now if the knight moves, you just play knight takes queen, except that it's not actually that clever at all, because it walks into mate in 5. But the idea of attacking the queen is quite crafty. In the game, queen to f5 from white, and black plays king to h6. And this becomes mate in 1. I mean, black was going to lose anyway, even if they play king to h4, they're going to lose pretty, h4, h5, they would lose pretty quickly. But this is actually mate in 1. So if you'd like to press pause and just find the mate in 1, feel free. Otherwise, we will carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And in fact, it's not just mate in 1, it's double checkmate in 1. And the move is knight to f7. So let's have a look. So knight to f7. Evidently, that's check. But it's also uncovered the attack from the bishop. So it's double check. And the king can't go here or here or here because of the white queen. So it is, in fact, a double discovered checkmate. Wow. Ouch. That is more dramatic than the first game. Very nice. Okay, let's get to our third game. Okay, so here we've got Schiffer against Yanni, Budapest, 1998. Sorry, 1998. No, I've misread that. It's 1898. So, okay, let's see what happens here. E4, E5 happens. Knight F3 and knight to C6 happens. Bishop E2, good lord. That's perfectly playable, but it's pretty negative. Bishop to c5. Knight takes e5. So this is white's turn to take advantage of this possible tactic. So knight takes here, and then pawn to d4, forks the two pieces. So, okay. What actually happens in the game is black plays bishop to f2. So knowing that they're going to lose a piece back anyway, or they're going to only be swapping pieces, black decides to distract the white king away from being able to castle, which makes sense. King takes f2, knight takes e5. And d4. Queen to f6, check. Ping. Bishop to f3. Knight to g4 to check, taking advantage of the fact that the bishop is pinned. King to g3 is interesting, and the computer thinks that's still pretty level, actually, but it did drop a little bit, didn't it? King to g3. h5. And still fairly level, and then h3 from white, and whoop, down it goes, mate in 2. So what on earth is the checkmate in 2? Well, Dr. Dave's comment in the book says, neither member of black's army delivering the final unmasking have yet moved, which is remarkable, really. So press pause if you want to if you want what? Yes, if you want to try to work out the mate in 2. Otherwise, I'll carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And the correct move here is h4 check. Now, the knight is guarding these two squares, so the king has to capture the knight. There's no other legal move. And now the remarkable checkmate is d6. I imagine d5 probably works just as well, whatever. And it's this bishop giving the checkmate, which remarkably hasn't actually moved. So the pawn hadn't moved, hence Dr. Dave's clue. And the bishop that gives the checkmate hasn't moved. And you can have a quick look. There's no safe squares anywhere for the king. Nothing can get in the way, and nothing can attack the bishop. Ouch, yeah, that's pretty final. All right, our next game is Miller against Chernev, New York, 1935. And I wonder if this is Irving Chernev, who was a really famous chess, what's the phrase? Chess author, wrote lots and lots and lots of books. Right, let's go through the game. And actually, as black is black that wins, let's have one from the black point of view for a change. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, e takes d4, knight takes d4, knight to f6, bishop to g5, bishop to e7. It's all very standard stuff so far. Knight to f5, d5, pawn takes d5, knight to e5, knight takes e7, queen takes e7, bishop takes f6, and there goes the bar. It's just waiting for him. So yeah, mate in 1. Okay, well, hopefully you can find this after seeing a few other examples of discovered attack. Press pause if you want to have a go. What on earth is the move here for black? Otherwise, I'll carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And it's the remarkable knight f3. So that attacks the king, obviously, and also guards, by the way, the possible escape square d2. But it's also uncovered the attack from the queen. So it's actually double check, which means it's another one of those rather unpleasant double checkmates that we saw before. So ouch, not very nice at all. All right, let's get to our next one. All right, our next game is Curdo against Kochman, Massachusetts, 1974. It's 10 moves long. Let's see what happens in this one. E4, E5, knight to F3, knight to C6, D4, knight to F6, D5, knight E7, knight takes E5, knight takes e4, queen to f3, knight to f6, knight to c3, d6, bishop to b5 check, Oh, wow. Did you see the eval bar then just disappear? At this point, it's all very level, and then the very natural looking D6. Watch the eval bar. For those who don't know, I don't really prep for doing this. I just have a quick glance through to count how many games I want to do for each episode, and then I play them live. So let's find out why that eval bar has just shot up. Bishop to b5 check is natural enough. c6 looks natural enough. At this point, black probably thought they were okay. They blocked the check. Pawn takes c6 from white. And, oh, I see. Okay, so this is already really, really bad, but black's next move makes things rather a lot worse. Rook to b8 is played, and suddenly it goes from +6, which is pretty grim, to +15, which is very grim. Have a quick go at finding the right move for white if you want. It's very simple stuff, but then this whole course is designed for beginners, and then it gets a bit harder as we go through. So hit pause if you want, otherwise I'll carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And the move is c7. And that uncovers an attack from the bishop on the king, so it's check. And at the same time, the pawn is attacking the queen. So whatever black does, they must lose their queen. I suppose the best bet's probably, oh no, actually it gets even worse than that, doesn't it? Because, oh goodness me, because even if black puts the queen in the way after bishop takes, perhaps you'd have to play knight takes. And then I guess if knight takes, king takes, white actually even gets a second queen. So goodness me, that's pretty unpleasant stuff. Yeah, not nice, not nice at all. Okay, let's have a look at the final game for this video. And we've got this guy Wall again. I don't know if Dr. Dave and Wall friends or if it's just a coincidence, but Wall playing white against Ortiz in 1989, because it could be 2 or 3 totally different players whose surname just happens to be Wall. But anyway, e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight takes e5, knight takes e4, queen to e2, d5, d3, knight runs away to g5, and okay, so you'll have spotted the eval bar has just shot through the roof to +7-ish. As usual, press pause if you wish to, and see if you can find the right move for white. Otherwise, I'll carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And the best move here is to spot that the queen is potentially looking at the king, but the point is, where do you put the knight? Knight g6 is probably okay. I guess that's winning the rook. But knight to c6 is attacking the queen, and that's rather more valuable than the rook, of course. And so it's check. Black has to do something about getting out of check. And the trouble is that putting the queen in the way doesn't work, because the knight is hitting e7 as well. So I guess black's going to have to just play, I don't know, something like knight there to block the check, and then they've lost their queen. Okay, that will do for that episode today. There are still 5 more games from the book on discovered attacks to come, so I'll do those in another recording very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Hope it's useful, and see you next time.